Welcome back to my channel. I had received quite a few interesting private messages from people, and but there was a reoccurring theme from quite a few of them, and that was, what makes you such a freaking expert? I'm not. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just somebody who's been through some oil and gas experience, and I'm just sharing that. I knew that that I would start pissing some people off, especially with my last video when I called it, it was all about promoters. This video is going to be a little different than that, because this video I will actually chronicle my experiences, and then you can decide whether I have any right to talk about this. It's going to be a multi-part video, so stay tuned, because it's a long story. And I don't want to make it one huge long video. I'm going to go ahead and do this in several different parts. So this will be part one. Alright, I'm going to start from the very beginning, which seems like yesterday. Actually seems like a long time ago. It was a long time ago. Somewhere in 2005, I purchased an interest in a very large tract of land, hundreds of acres, and took control of this property with the intentions of developing it for its natural resources. And one of the things that I did was I had managed to get a timber contract and a coal contract, and I had been contacted by several oil and gas companies and was going into that direction as far as leasing the oil and gas from the property. At the time, I knew zero about oil and gas. Of course, I knew zero about coal and timber, and that worked out really great for me. But at the time, it was just one of those things. I had a lot of offers, and I just one day that kind of changed the direction of how my life was going to go with oil and gas. I was talking to my neighbor, who I'd known for years, was a really great guy. At that time, I think he was about 75 years old, maybe 76 years old. And he had said to me, he goes, "I noticed you're gone in Kentucky a lot. What, how's things going down there?" And I said, "They're going really great. My guys are up there cutting the trees down." I said, "The coal contract's going well." I said, "I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the oil and gas." He says, "Hey, my nephew, Mike Smith, has an oil and gas company. Would you like me to contact him for you?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Sure, why not?" My neighbor Jerry is an awesome guy, and it was one of those moments in life where your brain leaves you. I did no due diligence on Mike Smith and his gas and oil company called Target Oil and Gas. Had I spent 5 minutes on Google, and had I only typed in Mike Smith, Target Oil and Gas, things would have been very different, but I didn't do that. I kind of trusted my neighbor, which, what the hell, I'm not going to make any excuses for my stupidity. It was stupid of me, and stupid is as stupid does. And I signed a lease with his nephew, Mike Smith. Now, I will say in my defense, I did one thing right. The whole lease, I did one thing right. And on that lease, I had in there that they could only lease well sites, 500-foot diameter well sites, as opposed to what most people do, which is to lease their entire tract of land. I did not do that. I only leased well sites, which, thank God, that's the way it was. It was a four well site lease. It was actually 2 leases combined into one. In order for the second lease to become effective, they had to drill on the first piece of property. And anyway, long story. But so anyway, I had an oil deal with Mike Smith and Target Oil and Gas. I'm not going to slander them. I'm just going to go through this very factually. And if it sounds really bad for them, then that's just the way it is, because I will let the facts will basically speak for themselves. So, the lease was for 1 year. And about, roughly 7 months into it, I hadn't heard anything. And I was starting to get a little pissy about that. And I called Mike Smith and I said, "Look, when are you going to get on my property?" Because I had my my loggers stop where they were logging at and go log this other piece of property where I had planned on the gas and oil wells to be. And which was a real pain in the ass for my loggers, but they did it. And I'm like, "Look, Mike, when are you going to start doing something? It's been 7, 8 months now." well, you know, and he's the master of excuses, and you know, we've just got this going on. We hit a big oil well here, we hit a big oil well there, and you know, we're bombarded with success. You know, success was really tying him down. So anyway, it got to the point where it was getting to, I mean, it was like the 11th hour for them, and I had made it known that if they didn't have a well drilled, then there would be no wells drilled by Target Oil and Gas. If that contract expired, it would be dead. So one day Mike calls me up and he says, look, he said, why don't you contact a surveyor since you know the area? Okay. And I knew a surveyor because I used a surveyor for part of my boundary when I had the timber cut. And I called the surveyor up and I said, hey, I said, would you be interested in surveying out these well sites for Target Oil and Gas? And he said, sure, I do that stuff all the time. And I said, all right, well, here's Mike Smith's number, give him a call and set it up. So then Mike Smith called me and he says, all right, your surveyor, he's on board, he's going to survey these sites out. Can you go there and show him where to put the well sites? And I said, what do you mean, put the well sites? I said, don't you have a geologist to do that? And he said, well, the geologist told us that anywhere we put a well there is a great place. Just don't even worry about it. Wherever you put, wherever you stick a well site off at is perfect. And I didn't know anything. I mean, I knew zero about any of this stuff, and I'm like, well, okay, if that's what the geologist says, okay, you know, and for me, it was like, well, okay, I can do that. I'm here, you know. And I thought anything I could do to help kind of expedite things, I'm going to do. So I called the surveyor and I said, hey, can we do this tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, I'll be over tomorrow. So he comes over. He says, hey, where's the geologist at? I said, there's no geologist, it's just me and you. And he said, what? I said, listen, I said, Mike Smith tells me no matter where we put a well, or we stick a well, it's going to be, it's great. This whole place is loaded with gas, and probably a lot of oil. And he said, I don't really feel comfortable with that. He goes, I've never done this without a geologist. He goes, I'm not a geologist. He said, what if, I said, look, you know, Mike Smith said, he said, I'll tell you what, he goes, I'll do it. If you tell me that I'm not on the hook if these turn out to be dry wells, he said, I don't want anybody coming after me about that. And I said, no, you're fine, you're not on the hook. He said, all right, where do you want to put the wells at? So he laid out a topo map, and I said, well, let's put them over here, away from where the coal seams are at, and over close to the power lines, just in case there is any coal over here. They can only mine 50 feet to up to a power line anyway. So the whole object was, my one corner of the property has power lines. So the object was to get the wells over there. So my surveyor and I, for all intents and purposes, at that moment became geologists, and we staked 4 well sites. And he had his GPS, and he basically did the 50 or 500 foot diameter, and these became the well sites that everybody knows of today as Bell 1, Bell 2, Bell 3, or Bell County 1, Bell County 2, and Bell County 3. The first well that they were supposed to drill was never drilled. That's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to get into that at this point. So anyway, so Mike Smith calls me. He says, "Hey," he said, "have your loggers, because they have their equipment there. Have your loggers go over and build well sites for us." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, So I go over and I talk to the logger, and I said, "Hey," I said, "would you guys be interested, since you got your bodos here, to go over and build these well sites?" And they'd never built a well site in their life. And they said, "Yeah, we'd love to." I said, "Well, here's Mike Smith's number. Work out a deal with him." And so they did. They called Mike Smith, and next thing you know, they're building. My logger said, "Hey, come with me. We're going to go and look at well sites to see what they look like, so we know how to do it." So anyway. So there we are. We've got the no geology. We've got loggers building well sites, and apparently I'm running the show. I don't know, but that's where I'm going to end this video, and then I'm going to start up on part 2. So stay tuned.